Why do you do it? That's what they keep asking me. Why do you teach people to trade if you're so good at it? If you already know how to do this, you already know how to make money. Why do you teach others to do it? We're going to address that in this session. Let's go. Hey everybody, welcome to another live stream video. Whether you're watching it live or recorded, doesn't really matter. Welcome. My name is Jeremy Whaley. I'm coming to you from Trade Maestro here in Nashville, Tennessee. You can find us over at trademaestro.com. And in this particular session, what I wanted to do is I want to address a common question that I get a lot. I've been getting it ever since I started teaching people how to trade the stock market. And I guess it's because people are suspicious. They say, why would you be giving away your secrets? Why do you do it? That's the question. Why do you teach? If you're so good at this, if you learn how to make money trading, why would you share it with me? And the answer is going to be in this session right here. That's what we're going to talk about while we go through this video here. The truth is, folks, I don't necessarily do it for you. I do it for me, and it's not what you think. It's not about the money. I always say this to people. I always tell people, the reason I teach is because I discovered the gift of contribution. And I didn't know a lot about human psychology whenever I figured this out. I just found it. For those of you who don't know my story, I started trading. I started my professional career, I should say, as a musician. And musicians, turns out, don't really make a lot of money. I was a relatively successful musician in Nashville. Did it for almost 9 years as a studio musician, piano player, producer. And, relative to most people, I actually did pretty well. But it turns out that successful musicians are still impoverished by the rest of the world standards. And so I had started learning to trade on the side. And that's kind of how I got into the trading piece. And around the 2008 financial crisis, what happened is I started teaching some friends and some family what I was doing. And before I knew it, I was teaching groups of people on webinars. And there was something very strange about it. I had spent 9 years, almost 9 years as a professional musician, of course, all the years leading up to that, and performing and, doing all that stuff in front of people. And it never really met my soul, never fulfilled my soul, I should probably say. And then I got into teaching stock trading, and instantly I found incredible fulfillment. And the reason I teach is because of the fulfillment that I bring. And that's my firsthand story of how much I enjoy getting the feedback from people and, hearing the stories, the testimonies of people's lives that we've changed. That's that. But later, I figured that out early on whenever I started teaching trading. But later, I started learning more about human psychology and how the mind works. And that's what I want to share with you here. And what I discovered is it's not just, my experience that, hey, I enjoy the feedback that I get from people, but there's actually a psychological reason that I do what I do. Yeah, the money's great. It's nice. It helps pay bills and it helps to, do all the stuff that we do, support the different efforts that we do, the technology and cover the cost of the business and whatnot. Yeah, that's nice. The money is nice, but I really don't do it just for the money. I do it because of the fulfillment that it brings to me. And so you say, well, how does that happen? Well, let me kind of peel the curtain back a little bit and maybe set a challenge out there for you that one day you also might decide that you want to teach people. Maybe it's trading stocks, or maybe it's doing business or something else that you might be passionate about. But it comes back to Abraham Maslow. If you're familiar with Abraham Maslow, he discovered something that we refer to today as human needs psychology. I'll make this actually big so you can see it. And Abraham Maslow discovered this hierarchy of needs. And what you see across the bottom here is the the physiological, I misread that. I knew what it said, I just misread it. The physiological needs, which is things like food and water and shelter and sleep. So it's your very basic principles of survival. And what Maslow discovered is at the very base of humanity, of society, if you don't get those physiological needs met, you'll do whatever you have to do to find a way to meet it. And that could include killing people, stealing, doing whatever, You might even violate your values. In fact, as part of human needs psychology, we discovered that people will violate their values to meet their needs. So Maslow discovered several years ago, many decades ago, that right at the bottom there is your physiological needs. And right above that are your safety needs, things like health and employment and property. Then we can move a little bit higher up the hierarchy and we get into things like relationships, love and belonging, family, friends. Okay, so that's kind of right there in the middle. And you notice that that relationship thing is where everything kind of starts to shift. It shifts from more of these kind of primitive survival certainty-based needs up into higher quality needs. And that's why the pyramid or the hierarchy starts to get higher, or smaller, I should say, the higher that you get up the pyramid here. The next to the top area here is what Maslow referred to as esteem. That is your self-esteem, your self-respect, your recognition, and then ultimately reaching your full potential in the form of what Maslow referred to as self-actualization. Okay, so what does this have to do with why I teach people how to trade the stock market? Well, here's why. Because once you've covered your needs, most people come to trading. Most people come to the world of stock trading because they're seeking financial certainty. They want to break out of the rat race. They want to create financial freedom. They want to get out of financial slavery, whatever you want to call it. That's why most people come to the stock market. And as you accomplish that, whether it's through trading, whether it's through business, or whatever your mechanism is to cover your basic needs, as you as a human being, as you grow, as you evolve, naturally, you become more interested in the relationships, and ultimately you become more interested in becoming who you are as a person, reaching your full potential. Okay. And so the reason that, people are struggling sometimes to understand why myself and so many other people teach people about trading is because they kind of are still stuck in this philosophy that, number one, they have this belief that trading is secretive, that if somebody else learns how to do the same thing that I did, that everybody would go do it and then it would break. Well, that's not true. It's just not true at all. The reality is the more people that do it, the more of a self-fulfilling prophecy it becomes. So, there's really nothing secretive about our trade setups and the information of that nature. But more importantly, the people who ask the question of why do you do it, they are stuck in survival. And somebody taught me a long time ago, you cannot manifest even $1 of prosperity into your life if you're coming at it from a place of survival. You have to come at it from a place of strength. And so if you're one of those people that are sitting here, kind of looking skeptical at people like myself who teach people how to trade the market, and you're saying, well, why would they do that? If they're so successful, why would they teach me how to do it? Well, it's not about the success. It's about the higher level needs. That's the key. And so I want to teach you a different variation of this. This is something I learned from Tony Robbins. He adapted this whole philosophy, and he refers to it as 6 human needs psychology. It's the same basic principles, but it's adapted in a way that I think might be a little bit more relevant for where we are in society today. And what Tony Robbins did is he adapted it, and he identified that first human need is the need of certainty. And we all have this need of certainty. Now, if you're driven by the need for certainty, can you imagine why you might be skeptical of somebody who is maybe giving information away about how to make money? Yeah, because it's not in the model of the world for the person who's driven by certainty. That's tapping into a different part of the human psyche. If you're driven by certainty, can you imagine why somebody might be afraid of losing money? Well, yeah, it plays with all of their certainty. And so you can understand a little bit better about human psychology by understanding what our human needs are and what the order is. Let me just give them all to you here. The first one is certainty. There's a parallel to that, or a paradox, and that is uncertainty. It's the opposite of certainty. But strangely enough, we as human beings are also driven by uncertainty. It's one of our 6 human needs. Have you ever heard it said that variety is the spice of life? Yeah, because, if we just do the same thing over and over again, eventually you freak out and you're like, I got to have some variety. I got to do something different, because uncertainty and variety is one of our 6 human needs. Now, the third human need is the need of significance, because as you saw with Maslow, eventually you get up to the need for esteem and self-esteem. And so significance is the third human need that Tony has identified. The fourth one is love and connection, which you remember from Maslow's hierarchy as well. And then the two kind of magical ones are the fifth and sixth one, and that is growth and contribution. Needs number 5 and number 6. Now, here's the interesting thing about 6 human needs psychology. What you need to understand is all of us have all 6 human needs, period. All of us have all 6, but we're driven by 2. We're individually driven by 2. For me, it just so happens that my 2 dominant needs are the needs of growth and uncertainty. Now, that's not to say that everybody's like me. They're not. I'm different than some people. Some people are just like me, but most people, just statistically speaking, most people in America are driven by certainty and significance. Okay? They want to be certain that all their needs are taken care of, and then they want to be proud and, out there in front of everybody about what's going on. And if you're sitting there saying, those aren't my needs, well, they may not be, or they might be. I don't know. That's not for me to determine here. What I want you to understand is the principle of 6 human needs psychology. We are all driven by 2 as our dominant 2 needs, okay? Most people who come to the stock market are actually driven by certainty. That's one of the crazy things that I've always kind of struggled with understanding when I teach people about trading is why would people come to such an uncertain place to find financial certainty? That's like a total paradox, right? But it meets all these 6 human needs. If you can succeed in the stock market, then you meet the need of certainty. If you are not successful in stock trading, or maybe I should say the adventure of stock trading, meets the need of uncertainty. When you're successful, you're feeling very significant. The connection part, I'm not sure people really get that from the stock market. Certainly there's a lot of growth from the stock market, but you can see how the stock market meets a lot of the 6 human needs, depending on which ones are driving you, okay? So the first principle I wanted to say about the 6 human needs is we're all driven by 2. The second principle is when you meet 3 or more needs, whenever a behavior meets 3 or more of your 6 human needs, it can become an addiction, even if it's not a quality behavior. Now remember this, and I said this just a minute ago, I think I said this. Human beings will violate your values. We will violate our values to meet our needs. Violate our values. Somebody might say, I would never steal a loaf of bread, but if your survival is in question, somebody might steal a loaf of bread, violating their values to meet that physiological need. What Tony did with Maslow's needs is he just kind of brought it into the more current century, if you will, and focused on modern society. Most of our modern society is not focused on survival needs, but we live in survival because we're meeting the need of certainty. If you're struggling to pay your bills, you're struggling to have that certainty, it's very easy to slide down into that need of certainty. And before you know it, you're living in survival. So where am I going with this? Where I'm going with this is why I teach people to trade the stock market. The bottom 2, growth and contribution. These are the higher level needs. If we went back to the Maslow chart, which I'm not going to do right now, but if we went back to it, we saw at the very top of it, self-actualization. In Tony's 6 needs model, self-actualization is the needs of growth and contribution. And what I discovered when I started teaching people how to trade is unbelievable growth and unbelievable contribution. And contribution in particular, up until that time in my life, had not necessarily been something I'd focused on. Not saying that I wasn't into contributing to people, it's just that it wasn't a focus. And when I started teaching people, I got so much fulfillment from the contribution that I became addicted to it. And for me personally, when I started teaching, I started meeting all of these 6 human needs through the mechanism of teaching people how to trade stocks. I had certainty that I was going to meet these needs. And this is all unconscious, by the way. I had certainty that I was going to meet these needs. I had variety, had unbelievable uncertainty. How are people going to respond to these free webinars that we do, to these free classes that we do, these free live streams that we do sometimes in the middle of the night? How are people going to respond to this stuff? Massive uncertainty. I started getting significance. People started saying, hey, you're really good at this. This is really interesting. You really helped me out. So yeah, there's a little bit of significance there. Lots and lots of connections. Connection with my students, connections with the people that would send us emails and say, you're contributing to me in this way. Obviously, massive growth. Whenever I started teaching, this was totally out of left field for me. I'd been a musician. Like I said earlier, I'd been a musician my whole life. And so this was totally out of nowhere. And man, I was growing at such a rapid pace, and obviously is contributing at a level of 10. So what you see is whenever I'm teaching people about trading the stock market, and I've been doing it now for 12, 13 years, Yeah, it has been 13 years. Wow. It's hard to believe that. But whenever I'm teaching people about doing this stuff, it's not about trying to protect my secrets. It's not about trying to, slide that little tip in there and, this is kind of under the table. That's what a lot of people's philosophy is about the market. And that's not it. That's not the market, number one. And it's not why I teach. I teach because it meets my needs and it makes me happy and I feel fulfilled and it makes me a better person. And that's really it. It's really that simple right there. The reason I teach people how to trade stock market is because at the end of the day, I found a mechanism. I found a vehicle for meeting all 6 of my human needs at a level of 10 in a way that made me happy. And so that's why I do it. I do it because I'm good at it. I know what I'm doing, obviously. I know how to teach. I know how to trade. And it meets all my needs. So that's why I do it. That's why I teach people how to trade. So what about you? You think that you might like to teach people how to trade the stock market one day or maybe contribute in another way? Well, I would challenge you to do that. It's, the last 10 or 12 years, 15, 13 years, however long I've been doing this, it's been an amazing adventure. I never planned on doing this stuff, but I started doing it. And once I started teaching people how to trade and I found all that fulfillment coming through, game over. Like it's just totally different level of life. This whole self-actualization thing, it just totally came to fruition. And what you find is when you're contributing at that level, time just kind of disappears. A lot of times you don't even realize how much time you've put into it. So that's my challenge to you. Find your thing. What is your thing that you can do where you can grow, where you can contribute to other people, and you can meet your needs in a healthy, productive way? And of course, obviously part of that is taking care of your financial foundation. If your finances are out of whack, if you don't have that financial stability, then you're not going to be able to maybe do some of the things you want to do. Or maybe the answer to your financial instability is in finding that thing that you can be passionate about, where you can contribute to others in a meaningful way. And maybe that's something I can help you with as well. If that's you, then, if you don't want to learn about trading, but maybe you want to learn about building an online business and you want to learn some of the stuff that I've done, then feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to help you in that way as well. If you do want to learn about trading, then you know what to do. All you need to do is come visit me over at Trade Maestro, trademaestro.com. That's where I can teach you anything you want to know about trading. I can teach you how to pick a trend, pick a trading direction. Like I say, anything you want to know about trading. And if you're looking to really take your trading to the next level and you want to do it in a consolidated way, join my challenge. Join the Pick Winning Stocks Challenge. There it is. There's my thunder. Join my Pick Winning Stocks Challenge where you can learn how to pick trades, do better trade analysis, learn your strategies. You're going to learn how to write your trading plans. You're going to learn how to use indicators and lower your trading risk and ultimately what everybody wants. You're going to learn how to make money. So it's a 21-day challenge. It's only 21 days. 21 days from right now, 3 weeks from now, you can have all of this stuff taken care of. You can know the process. You can know the flow. Would you be willing to take that challenge if you're interested in doing that? Come on over to trademaestro.com or right here in this video. Just go ahead and click the link and it'll take you right over there and we'll get you enrolled and you can join us tomorrow. All right. Hey, if you're not subscribed to any of my social channels, what you need to do is you need to do that right now. So wherever you're watching this, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you are, hit the subscribe button, the friend button, the like button, and get subscribed so you get notified every time that I do one of these videos. And if you can catch me live, then great. And if you can't, then no big deal. You can always watch the recording as well. All right. Thank you for joining me. I hope this has been helpful for you. And until next time, happy trading to all of you. We'll talk to you soon.